We got questions from the viewers, but I just want to ask you, should the NHL take a break or not? What would you vote on that?
No break. Hey, I love the analogy, feeding the lions. That's what it feels like. You've got your fan base of people who tune in to watch your show. We've got ours. And one thing I know is it seems like they can never get enough. So no breaks. Get them back to it.
Okay, I'm glad to hear you say that. So that's why we're on the air every day. And so, number one, you answered that. Number two, I don't know, trade rumors. I don't know how you are on trade rumors, but who the heck is it? Somebody wrote it. Randy from Winnipeg says, trade rumor. Martin Necas for Nikolai Ehlers. I like it. Is that what's floating around the Slurpee capital today?
I feel like that rumor has been going on for years and years and years. Listen, I know that the Jets are interested in Marty Necas. He's a player they have liked for a really long time. I think that there was noise some time ago about Nick Ehlers being on the move. And when I say some time ago, I'm talking years ago. Like, this is one of these rumors that just will not die. And usually when those rumors won't die, it's because teams usually have mutual interest, and you hear those kind of things behind the scenes. They haven't been able to make it work. But Nick Ehlers is a player that, you're thinking more and more with 1 year left on his contract that if they didn't move him, he would be interested in, testing the unrestricted free agent market. And we all know how that turned out for the Jets this year with the vast majority of their unrestricted free agents. And Marty Necas, again, is a guy that I think right from the point that he was drafted and came into the NHL, the Jets scouts were really high on that player. So there's a reason that rumor won't die, but it's, I'm in, I'll believe it when I see it territory as far as something happening with that trade.
He's a great player. So too is Ehlers. That would be interesting. Yeah. I've seen all kinds of grades for the Jets free agency, and overall they haven't been great. What's yours, Sean? What's your synopsis here 1 week into it?
I mean, it's not looking good. I know that the Jets had made a push to keep the likes of Brendan Dillon, to keep the likes of Sean Monahan. I think that there was a path by which they could have re-signed at the very least Brendan Dillon. So I think you have to look at that and think that's a player that they lost. In the end, I think what happened was their negotiations were not where the player wanted. I think they got to where the player wanted, but by the time they got to where the player wanted, he was able to take that same offer from other teams. And I think that maybe because of that, he chose to go elsewhere, just because we know Brendan Dillon wanted to talk about re-signing with the Jets a long time ago, not just recently. So I think that's one where the Jets played with that contract a little bit too much and ended up losing a player they could have kept. But in the end, it's like I said, that's a lot of really talented, established NHL players going out the door and not a lot coming back in right now. They've, nibbled around the edges of the kind of players that are, 1 foot in the AHL, 1 foot in the NHL kind of thing. But as this is a time of year you can use to make your team better. Clearly, I'm not saying anything anyone doesn't know. The Jets haven't been able to do that. As of right now, they are a lesser team on paper than they were last year.
That's what's fun about shows like this. It's different. Like you and your boy, your co-host. Sorry for your podcast.
Ken Weeb,
Kenny and Rennie. Sorry, I was trying to get it in my head. Ken Weeb, and I've been enjoying his social media stuff. Well, last week I was at the Moose Jaw Warriors Golf Social. I'm in Moose Jaw for the summer calling baseball. I just sat back, Sean, and just listened. That's why I bring this up. Stuff we can talk about here that you wouldn't know. You wouldn't talk about this on the Sportsnet panel. Guy said, that's what I overheard. Pierre-Luc Dubois got Todd McClellan fired. And all these dub guys love Todd McClellan. It's from Melville, played for the Blades, Coach Swift Current, NHL guy. And that was what they said. He got fired in L.A. because of PLD. I'll just say, what do you think when you hear that? Do you even think it's true?
It's not just guys at the WHL level who said that, right? Like it's you heard that at the time. A lot of NHL people will say that as well. I mean, this was one of those situations where afterwards, Rob Blake kind of admitted the mistake in what he did by correcting it and moving Pierre-Luc Dubois along, said it wasn't a fit. But I mean, in the meantime, it's up to the coach to try and make that work with the player who admittedly after the fact wasn't the fit. But we all know how this goes. There's a pyramid at work here. And at the very top of the pyramid is the owner, and a little bit below that is the GM. And usually a coach will pay for GM's mistakes before the GM does, and I no doubt think that this is a case where that happened with Todd McLellan. By the way, just want to throw it out there, my buddy Dwight Hurst, his son Benson Hurst, is a draft pick of the Moose Jaw Warriors. Watch out for this kid coming. He's trying to elbow his way into that organization and doing a really good job heading there.
Well, if they drafted him, then he's obviously a tremendous player because this team, they're the defending WHL champs, and I've had such a great time here this summer with them. But it's, hey, Rennie, I think that's why the viewers love the talk like this. They don't understand kind of what you're saying. And Jeff Skinner was on NHL. Well, I do, but the fans don't really know this is how it works. And Jeff Skinner, well, now the Oilers, was on NHL radio last week, and he literally admitted to Scott Laughlin, he goes, I feel bad, all the coaches that got fired in Buffalo because it wasn't their fault. That was like, I can't believe he said that.
And sometimes, every once in a while, a coach will go out the door and the players will give the old, it wasn't his fault, it was our fault kind of thing. And sometimes they're just saying that. But a lot of times they're not. A lot of times they're taking a look and they're saying that coach is doing the very best with what they have. And we've seen this before, right? Like coaches are often, they are the victims of the situation that they're in. And listen, you're down there covering the Florida Panthers. I didn't get to see it. It's too bad. I saw you in Montreal at the Cup final. Didn't get to see you down there, Rod. But we're taking a look at Paul Maurice as a perfect example of a guy who was, a coach of the Winnipeg Jets as they were starting to decline. And the Jets to this day will talk about a room that needed fixing. That was Paul Maurice's room that they say the culture needed to be corrected on. And he goes and leaves this situation, finds another situation that fits for him, and he's a Cup champion, right? So every coach is just, to a degree going to be a victim or a benefactor of the situation they find themselves in. Paul Maurice is a perfect example of that.
Yeah, and that's why I think these coaches keep getting hired, to be honest with you, because the GMs that know, they know it wasn't your fault in that stop and why you got fired. They know, right? And the interesting thing is, too, I did hear from someone connected to the Jets that said, well, Paul kind of left Chevy holding the bag. I'm like, say whatever you want. Paul's got the cup. Right? Yeah. So, but he'll be, he's a convenient target for forever if they want to blame him. It's like Doug McLean's another South Florida guy. He's like, they're still blaming me for Columbus. I've been gone for 20 years.
How about that?
They always got to have a scapegoat. Anyways, Rennie, enjoy the summer. I appreciate the time. Do you want to plug your show for the people that can't get enough Jets and NHL talk?
Oh, well, I mean, it's a little bit of a holiday break. So if I'm pumping it, I'm trying to keep people's interest until around September, something like that. We have talked about doing some pop-up shows here and there. But like you said, if you're enjoying Kenny's social media, you're enjoying him tweeting about golf. It's pretty hard to peel that guy off the golf course in the summertime. So I'm ready and raring to go, Rod. So if you need me, I'm just sitting in this chair right here 24/7 waiting to go. But Kenny, he's another story.
Always doing a great job. Thank you, man. Enjoy the summer.
Thanks a lot. See ya.
Sean Reynolds from Sportsnet, Winnipeg.